Everyone is just raving about this guy. He's the father figure that the women on the left never really had, is the meme going around. And I don't mean a meme in like a 4chan sort of rude way, but a meme in like, that's what women on the left are saying. He's the dad that that they lost their real dads to Trump and the Republicans and the GOP. And here comes Tim Walz, Coach Walz, in to save the day and be the father figure that they so desire.
Well, I mean, I think it's an interesting strategy. Like, I think it's probably an effective one, because this is kind of like the Coach Tommy Tuberville thing. It's kind of like they're playing into this. He's a coach. He's your average American dad. He, when they show the pictures of him in his normal wear, like campaigning, which looks actually authentic as compared to typical politicians who put on plaid and campaign. I think they're really trying to play up this everyman aspect, and it seems to be working in their favor, largely because the media is supporting the narrative. But
is Kamala not an every woman?
No.
Okay, I'm just curious. Hey, man,
they're doing the exact same thing that the right is doing. They're trying to make JD Vance an everyman, just like they're trying to do the same to him, except the media is buying one side and not the other.
Surprise, surprise. Michael.
It's a good pick.
Is it?
Got to give it to him. There are some risks with that pick, as there are with any pick, but for the electoral strategy, good pick. You can try to paint him radical all you want. It's not going to work. He's an old white guy from Minnesota. He does have, his positions that you mentioned on transgender and a couple other things that can be perceived as radical, but you can't brand him as a radical. It's an impossible task because he's the most normal looking human ever. So new strategy needed. I think the other big one that's out there that is an actual risk for him and his brand and their credibility is the stolen valor story. I think there's a lot of credibility to the accusation. I think he could easily shut down the concerns.
By enlisting and going and fighting over there.
No, he just comes out. He's got kids, right? He just comes out and is like, I was a 42-year-old dad. I had kids in elementary school and I didn't want to go fight and die. And he would be admitting fault, but he would earn sympathy from some people. If he doesn't confront it in that way, which with whatever the truthful story is, it's going to be hanging over his head. And it should be, because he needs to answer to it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. There'll probably be some sympathy out there if he just comes out and says, "Hey, look, maybe I misspoke a little bit, but here's the deal, right? My battalion, they did go over there, and for Operation, what was it? Operation something Freedom? Which one was it? Operation Enduring Freedom.
See,
the war in Afghanistan. What?
Yes.
Don't speak Spanish. All right.
Iraqi freedom.
Don't do that. So
here's the thing.
My battalion was deployed over there, and I just misspoke. It was just a quick whatever. I'm sorry, but I'm a dad, and I didn't want to die.
Maybe was it a battalion?
Huh?
Was it a battalion?
I think those were his words. Yes.
Oh. Yeah. My thing is, Michael makes a great point about him being an everyday person in this weird narrative of trying to frame him as like this super like the weird when they announced. I kept seeing all these tweets from elected officials, many of them Republican elected officials from Texas, be like, this is the most radical choice you could have ever gone with. I'm like, okay, nobody believes that. Like, you could say you could call him progressive, which I still dancing on the line of. You can say that he's too far left, whatever, but to say he's the most radical choice that she could have gone with, like, I know you're just doing it for political purposes, but no one believes what you're saying because it's not true. Like,
is it not true though?
They're acting like she picked Ilhan Omar. Like, no, it's not true. Is he a leftist? Is he progressive? Is he more progressive than conservatives would like? Yes. Is he more progressive than probably the average American person? Yes. But is he a radical left-wing progressive? I wouldn't say that. And I mean, if you look at his family, like the picture that they have of them in front of the governor's mansion, the kid, his son's in like basketball, like they're like a really normal looking family. Like, and so
his son's wearing basketball shorts, and so they're not progressive.
That wasn't at all what I was saying. I'm just saying they're a normal.
So I'm trying to figure out.
You look at them and you see your neighbor. Like, so to try to paint them as some far left-leaning progressive when that is not, you're trying to tell me not to believe my eyes. It doesn't make any sense. Like, actually talk about his policy positions that you disagree with and let those speak for themselves, rather than this narrative of her picking the farthest left-leaning candidate she could have possibly ever picked in the history of this world.
It sounds like you're judging a book by its cover, Charles, which we all know is not what you're supposed to do. You're looking at a picture, you're saying this guy doesn't look progressive. He can't possibly be progressive.
I didn't say I said he looks like your neighbor.
Okay, judging a book by its cover, fine. Keep going. Keep proving me correct. That's fine. I don't mind. I enjoy it. But your neighbors can be progressive, and I don't. What my question is, I think that he actually is pretty progressive. Is he as progressive as Ilhan Omar? I don't know. I don't think so. But is he still very progressive? Doesn't take much to be less progressive than Ilhan Omar.
No one's saying he's not very progressive. I'm saying this narrative that
you literally said it's not true.
No, I said the narrative that this is the farthest, most radical left-wing person that Kamala ever could have picked is a ridiculous narrative. That's what I'm saying. If you go look at some of the tweets that people were sending out, they're just frankly absurd.
It's pretty absurd. And when I think radical progressive, I think blue hair on the streets protesting protesting the war in Gaza. That's what I think. That's not Tom Walz. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you have to think about this from a normie perspective. Like who are you trying to persuade by telling people he's a radical? The center, suburban moms, like they're not going to perceive him as a radical. Right. Now, if you bring to attention his issues, his belief in transgender, surgeries for 13-year-olds, and if you don't give your kid child or gender affirming care that the kid can be taken from you, talk about that. That's fine.
They do talk about that.
They should. And if you talk about stolen valor, talk about that. But don't try to say this guy's a radical progressive. First of all, I don't even know that progressive is a meaningful term to most people. It's a term that the politicos talk about, but is it meaningful to my neighbor who's not political? I don't really think so. I think it sounds kind of nice.
And when you Googled him, now it's changed since obviously he's the nominee and all this stuff. When you initially Googled him, you would find like his campaign picture of him with his hunting dog and a rifle. Like this is not some progressive guy in that sense. If you're trying to frame him as a picturesque version of a progressive that you would traditionally find. That's why for someone like him, talking actually about the issues would make more sense than just calling him progressive. They
do talk about the issues. I don't know why you guys keep saying that. There's a reason why we all know what these issues are. It's because other people have talked about them.
I can promise you that we know what these issues are because we follow this stuff. And if you ask a regular person who does not follow politics what they've heard about Tim Walz, what's his name? Tim Walz? I don't know, whatever his name is.
Mike Wallace.
No, whatever. If you ask what they've heard about him, they've heard that he's a radical progressive. They didn't hear about these specific policies.
I think the average person
The one they might have heard has been the tampons in the bathroom, which I don't
Tampon Tim.
Great. That's probably the one thing that they've heard.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Tampon Tim is sort of a silly thing.
It's Tom. It's Tom Walz.
Whatever. But Charles really threw me off there. Tampon Tom, I think is I don't think it's very good because it kind of, you need to be specific, and like he's providing tampons to boys, right? In the boys' restroom. And that's sort of the big deal. I don't think a lot of women particularly care that he's providing, or men for that matter, are providing tampons to girls, right? Free tampons in the bathrooms. It's not very clear. It's not a very good nickname. And Trump has come up with a nickname for Kamala. What the fuck is that? Kamabla? Yeah. What is that? Is that Tom Loblaw's law blog?
I feel like it has something to do with kombucha, but he has not explained it.
Oh my God.
They poll tested all of this stuff and did focus groups and on Tom Walz before they picked him. And we're like, do people perceive him as radical? I guarantee it. And the Republicans they don't know what else to say. Yes, they're talking about the policies, but they're also trying to position, this is the most radical left-wing ticket. Everybody said that up to JD Vance. It's not going to work.
This is from someone here in Texas whose name I'm not going to say who it is. You can find it if you want. There has never been a more radical, dangerous. Please.
I'm down.
There has never been a more radical, dangerous leftist candidate from a major party for vice president in our republic's history.
Okay.
Come on. Another one.
Tim Walz. That might be true. The most progressive VP candidate in our Republic's history. That might be true if you're leaving out like green candidates, and if there's a communist candidate, like major party candidate, that might be true.
I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about Kamala. I'm pretty sure they said the same thing about Obama.
Kamala was probably true, and yes, Kamala might be the most progressive VP candidate ever.
Okay, well then how is Tim Walz that then? Like
She's no longer the VP candidate, and she can pick someone more progressive. I'm saying it might be true. I'm not saying that it is or isn't, but it's not a huge stretch if you think about the history of the Republic and how progressive politics have become and how things have changed. The Overton windows changed. What's acceptable and what's not acceptable. I have this joke behind me. I'm going to cut your son's dick right off. Your normal sized son's dick right off. That's a joke because it's something that they like. That's funny because it's kind of true, right? That's where the politics is today. So it's not crazy to say, yeah, maybe he's the most progressive VP candidate ever.
It's not crazy to say in a bubble to other Republicans because they're going to believe you. But if you're trying to actually convince independents to not vote for him, saying that is not helping. That's not going to work.
Maybe that is correct. Right. I do want to play this. Huh?
That's the point. You're creating a brand for him at Jump Street. And that it's the wrong brand because it's not going to work with independents and people in the center. It's just not.
I don't know.
You're fired up about it because you don't like progressives. I get it.
Calm down. God.
I get it. And other conservatives are fired up about it because they don't like radical progressives.
I'm fired up about it? This is weird.
Yes, but this is the same problem with what conservatives are doing right now with trying to make this the George Floyd defund the police ticket. They don't think outside of the bubble and recognize that the average person is not looking at that negatively. This is also the man who appointed the prosecutor who then prosecuted Derek Chauvin. And clearly the George Floyd protests were one of the biggest protests we've had for any civil rights moment since probably the 60s. And so you're trying to frame him as something that most people don't necessarily see negatively, but that's because conservatives only think inside of a conservative bubble.
It seems like you guys are talking to me as if I created this strategy.
Well, you're defending it.
I'm pushing back on y'all's words, and that's it. And you say that, like, for instance, that you push back on someone saying that he's the most progressive VP candidate in our Republic's history. I'm just saying that might be true. I'm not saying that it is. I didn't write the fucking tweet. This is not my strategy. So you two can calm the fuck down. How's that? Is that cool? Can y'all calm down?
You got an attitude off board. You got an attitude.
I think this is kind of weird. Now, this is something that progressives are really happy about for Tim Walz. It's a policy that they think is a big win, and I can see that. I'm not necessarily theoretically, I don't know how against this I am, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not my favorite thing as we in reality. So this is him signing the bill for free school breakfast and lunch.
It is now law.
So if you listen right here, there's a little girl saying, ow. And my eye hurts.
My eye.
You hear that? Listen to this again.
Her mouth's not moving.
My eye. And my legs hurt too.
Ow, my eyes and my legs hurt too. Can y'all hear that?
Yes.
That's fake.
This is from, I'll pull up who did it, but also I want to point out that I don't think any of these children are missing breakfast or lunch. All right. They all look pretty normal, especially this girl right here. That's a tall girl.
Dude looks
Okay,
like Santa Claus without a beard.
What is the point of this?
This is from More Perfect Union, and that's a gold tick. They have 273.7 thousand followers. I don't think that's
okay, but assuming it's real, what is
it is real. What's the point? I just think it's weird, one, that little girl is screaming that her eyes and legs hurt. What the fuck is happening there? And two, don't you think that he could have found some actually like hungry kids, or does he not want to be seen with that riffraff?
I think that when you
can, I think really offensive to you two fucking like old ladies.
I'm not offended. No, I didn't think it was offensive. But I just think this is the thing. This goes back to my point. from a conservative perspective, you look at that and you think that not that there's an issue with it, but you find criticism of it. The average person looks at that and is like, wow, those kids really liked him. The average person looks at that and sees that last girl who, after he went for fist bump, she went in to get a fist bump because she wanted to get one, not that he forced her to do it. Whereas you compare that with the side by side of Sarah Sanders signing I think it was a school choice bill, and the kids look miserable next to her. So it's like this is the thing. This is why I wish conservatives would get out of a bubble and recognize that some of these things are very normal and people like them, and that is why people don't like. I wish conservatives would do more of this stuff because people would then like us a little more.
Okay, listen.
Normies love free school lunches.
Yes, again, I started off by saying this is not something I theoretically like really care about, but in like reality, it's something I'm not very happy about. Look, I am just saying it's fucking weird that kid is in pain and we can hear it, and that's strange. And then this is about feeding children because children are hungry and they can't get a square meal at home. Yada, 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 and he can't even find a hungry child to do it. Do they exist? Yes. Why didn't he put them in his little photo shoot? Probably because he thinks they're ugly. Okay? Am I saying he's the most progressive? Am I tweeting out there that he's the most progressive person? Trying to tell my neighbors that he's the most progressive person? This is communism come to life? No.
No, you know what? The reason you hear that kid do that is because kids do and say things. And that is probably why you heard that kid say that. And the reason they have those kids is probably because when you're setting up an event like that for the governor, you find the nearest school that you can have access to that's easy and that looks good for a photo op, and you do it. And that looks
good for a photo op. That was the point, not what looks real. And look, Charles, you're like getting on to me like this is some sort of big deal to me. Would you calm down?
No, I'm not getting on to you. I'm just saying the reason I'm so frustrated is because the things that you were saying this morning are the same things that conservatives have been saying on Twitter and stuff.
What did I say this morning?
And my point is that like this is the kind of stuff that forces people to keep thinking that conservatives are weird. Like the fact that like
don't fall into conservatives are weird stuff. That's
I didn't fall into it. I'm saying that is why people feel that way.
So
because conservatives do weird stuff and they criticize things that are otherwise normal. Like
Charles, maybe you should get out of politics. 1, 2. Listen, I did not say all I said was I just brought up the topic, and I don't even think I said anything. Like, of course, I don't like Tim Walz and his policies. Of course, I don't think anybody questions that or would guess that I would like him. Why are you coming down on me so frustrated? Stop. You literally said the thing. You said that I said these things. That you said that 1 minute ago. Fine, go back.
Hear me out. I said the reason that I'm speaking so forcefully about this is because some of the things you're saying this morning.
What did I say this morning?
Brad, you rolled out a tape. Of Tim Walz signing a free school lunch program
and what was
in the state of Minnesota, and you are grasping at straws to criticize it. The dude looks like Santa Claus without a beard, and he's hugging children. That is good PR. And you're saying some little girl said something and there's no hungry kids. How do you know there aren't hungry kids in that crowd?
Because I'm a father and I know what hungry kids look like.
How do you know they don't have hypothyroidism? And that's why
they're the fuck up.
The point is you are grasping at straws.
What am I grasping at? What is my point? Okay. Stop, both of you. Both of you stop. I'm going to repeat it for one last time. I think it's funny that there's a girl that's saying, ow, my eyes hurt and my legs hurt. It's weird and it's funny and it's just kind of kooky. And I thought that would be fun for the show, entertaining. And then I also made a fucking joke, as I am wont to do, as both of you are aware of, that how come he couldn't find, he couldn't find, he thought that they were ugly. And that's why he didn't get hungry kids. Are you two retarded? I'm grasping at straws. What point did I make before I even played it? In theory, I don't even have a problem with this. Right? Here, let me play you this fucking clip from Instagram, and it's just I wish the Instagram would let me pause things and replay them, rewind and stuff. But here's a guy, and I think he makes a decent point, but I think he's making it incorrectly. So I'm going to share it with you, and maybe you two will shut the fuck up as if I'm I'm on Twitter saying that he's a communist and I'm saying that feeding children at lunches is a bad photo op. You two absolute imbeciles. God.
who's gonna pay?
Why is there no sound? No.
Students.
Why
You
can't
can hear it.
We can hear it.
I can't hear it?
To have free lunches? Me.
Can y'all hear that?
Me.
Yes.
What do you even
No, well, I don't think the
about?
listeners
My
can hear
tax dollars fund a war crime.
So he's saying basically, I don't think what?
If we can hear it, I think they can hear it.
I don't think so. So basically, like people, he's making fun of Republicans, right? This guy, he's saying, who's going to pay for school lunches for children, right? I am, because my tax funds are being used to commit war crimes in Yemen. That's a fair point, right? I wouldn't mind actually paying for school lunches if that was my choice. I'm going to pay for school lunches for kids or war crimes in Yemen. I'm going to pick school lunches. Like, that's the last thing I'm going to attack. The first thing, if I was president, if I was emperor of the United States, one of the first things I would do was, one, kick you two off this show. And then two, I would end all of these fucking foreign wars, right? That's the last thing I would do is stop providing lunches for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Are you two, like, is that hard to understand?
No.
Or are y'all going to start coming after me again as if I'm the one stop, as if I'm the one that's making all of these negative calls against Tim Walz, other than my background. That's all that I've said negatively about him. I'm not saying anything else. So would you two bring it down 2 notches?
Okay. I think we're just having a discussion, and you are playing devil's advocate in this conversation, as you always do, as I always do. We all do it at different points. And I think you're playing devil's advocate. And so because of that, we're responding, but we're not mad at you. We're not yelling at you.
Mad at you. You guys are just wrong.
About what?
About your like Charles is saying that I'm saying all these things. Michael is like yelling at me saying that this is a good photo op. What's wrong with me? Like this has nothing. I'm grasping at straws. What straws am I grasping at? You two fucking psychos.
Saying her eyes hurt.
Funny.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to a different topic, because Brad is clearly, he loves Tim Walz so much. I mean, hates Tim Walz so much as a human being.
I love him or hate him?
I don't know anymore. I don't know. It's
I might vote Kamala
for this conversation.
Maybe. Who knows?
Can we transition to, or I'll transition us to the second topic?
More, don't you? Transition, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's since we're talking about Tim Walz in Minnesota. He did sign a law that that made pedophilia a sexual orientation in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of fucked up.
That's horrible. And they hit him on that. He deserves to get hit on that very hard.
He deserves to get hit on. Go on, Michael.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just to transition to the point that Charles is trying to make, like here, the Republicans need to be saying, we had 3 years of Trump pre-COVID. Do you want that time? Good jobs, good economy, no wars, all the things, First Step Act, all the things that we were able to accomplish. Do you want that? Or do you want that? Or do you want Kamala Harris, who, what's happening?
Why you have a snake? Stop it. Would you stop? Charles has a snake on his arm.
It's been here the whole time.
It has not been there the whole time.
You have a snake on your arm?
Can you not see it?
No, I can now.
It's been here the whole time, and it's usually here during most of our shows.
That is definitely not true.
I've never seen that.
We've done this for almost a year, and we've never seen it. It's not here for most of the shows.
In my hand, not necessarily on my shoulder.
You don't hold a fucking snake while we do this show, you liar.
Okay.
I mean, unless you're talking about something else. You know what I'm talking about?
You never know.
Black Mamba? Huh? So is he convincing? Are they convincing independents? Because isn't that I have a question. Isn't that the most important thing for these two candidates to do, is to convince independents?
Yeah,
yes.
It's going to come down to the center in like 7 states, in a bunch of in a few counties. And the message needs to be.
Let me pause you just for a second. Charles, you look nervous. I hate to interrupt. Yes, because you have a snake crawling on you and you're like very rigid.
Oh no, that's because my arm is supporting his body. That's why.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on, Michael.
What was I talking about? Oh, the message needs to be 3 years of Trump. Here's all the things we did with First Step Act. We secured the border. The economy was great. The economy was great. We didn't have any wars. All the things. And on the other side, or you could have Kamala Harris, who you can't trust. Why? Because when she takes positions, she flip-flops on them and roll the tape on all the issues that she changed her mind on. She knifed her own president in the back. She she can't be trusted. 1, 2, she's incompetent. She doesn't know what she's talking about. They can't take her off of a teleprompter or off of the script because it's too risky. And 3, she's fucking mean. She's a mean person. That's it. That's what will win the center. But they're not doing that.
Is she mean?
Talking about. Yeah, did you see how she responded to that protester in the crowd that was talking?
Yeah.
Like all of her staff quit within like months because she's a mean person. She broke up a marriage. Like there's plenty of evidence of her being a mean person.
Well, and that's the thing. That is what my frustration is about this whole campaign so far, is it has been about everything but things that actually move the needle. It's been about framing these people as like, and we've already gone through it, but it's been about framing them that certain way rather than just talking about the things that you can use against them, rather than talking about the record that Tim Walz has in his in Minnesota. Like I get it because it's politics and it's politics in 2024, but I feel like it's a missed opportunity. And if we keep missing the opportunity, what's going to end up happening is they're going to waltz on into.
Oh, there it is.
But I feel like we keep missing the opportunity. There's great things to hit them on, as you just mentioned, and we keep getting distracted with all this other stuff because you know what that does? It gets retweets and it gets likes and it gets the base fired up, but it doesn't talk to independents.
Yeah. Like I tweeted, I don't know, yesterday morning. I don't know why Trump hasn't challenged her to 5 debates. What is going on?
Why hasn't he now? I thought I saw something yesterday.
Yesterday, he must have read my tweet because he challenged her to 3 debates after that tweet. It's obvious. We need to get, the Republican Party needs to get her off a teleprompter because she's smart enough to like read from a script. But they need to get her off of a teleprompter, as many debates as possible. They have to take that risk. They have to force her to do interviews. They have to get her to answer to how she changed her position on everything in like a year. She's like now disavowing everything that she previously had said. Because it's because it breeds distrust.
Keep going.
It's because normal people will look at that and be like, yeah, wait, she just changed her position on everything?
Yes, apparently. So here's the thing, and I predict this will happen. The one debate that they agreed to, or the one debate that she previously agreed to and that now Trump has, is the September 10th ABC one. Anything that happens in that debate, good for Trump, bad for Kamala, or maybe even vice versa, is going to be overshadowed because you know what happens on the morning of September 11th? For 3 hours, they read the names of September 11th victims, and we just watch the 9/11 memorial. And you talk about it all day on the news. And so I feel like everything that happens the night before is going to get buried. They'll start to play it probably midday, late day news, maybe. But by that time, it starts to be old news. They're going to have pictures of Trump and Kamala probably visiting the 9/11 memorial, which is going to, take over any of the narrative of what happened the night before. So I feel like we're going to miss out on any opportunity to get some longevity out of things that come out of that debate.
Yeah, but Trump could get on Truth Social every day and say, Kamala, 5 debates, let's do it. And just keep tweeting it every day until she has to respond to it. Let's both go on Joe Rogan. Let's talk to Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan won't interview them, I thought I saw.
Oh,
him.
He said that he wouldn't do Trump. I don't know why. Seems kind of
both.
Well, he endorsed JFK, so now they're not doing anything. RFK.
He endorsed JFK. Yeah.
He would do both. But the point being, you need to get her to react, and he's not. And you could flip the script on her. Like, why won't you debate Trump 5 times? What are you afraid of?
But also, Connie Burton had a really great tweet today, which I wholeheartedly agreed with. I'm going to read it in part. And it's about this debate. It's about all the Republicans criticizing Kamala or Kamabla, however you would like to say, for not doing it. She goes, I'm seeing a lot of this kind of complaint on here. It's valid and frustrating, but this isn't new. Trump wouldn't debate his opponents during the primary. It's a strategy used by candidates all the time. Mainstream bias for D's has been going on for years. We know it. We need to operate. We need to work hard with the circumstances that exist. And I agree. I mean, I think this isn't new. Trump didn't do it during the primary. We know it's happening. He's got to operate in the circumstances that it is. Use his opportunity to continue to call for debate, sure, but he needs to pivot and figure out something else that's going to be effective because she's probably not going to agree to do it.
I mean, is it common for like official party candidates to not debate each other in recent politics. Not doing it in the primary, maybe it's a strategy, but I can't remember the last time there was a Democrat and a Republican candidates that didn't debate each other.
I mean, I do
Trump
think
did too. Biden Trump did too. That was less than is normal.
I think that was probably also because of COVID and probably also because of Biden.
Yeah.
I do think it is becoming more common, and it's not just in presidential politics. I mean, we had a huge county judge race here, and the incumbent county judge refused to do any debates with her opponent. And like, I think you start to see this, and there's no obligation to, right? Like, there's no obligation to, and so why do it if you feel that doing it is going to harm you? And I think we're going to see more and more of it. And I don't think you can exempt the primaries from the general. If you're not going to do it in the primaries, same criticism should be levied on both. And Trump did not participate in any primary debate.
I don't know I don't know if I agree with
Why
that.
would it be different?
Why are they different?
What?
They're different. So why are they different? They're different things.
Because one is just Republicans, one's the general public. Why should Republicans not have the opportunity to see a debate among Republican candidates, but the general population should have an opportunity?
I'm not saying that they should or should not. I'm just saying they're different things. So they're going to have different strategies for things. And as the country is picking the winner of the two, right? The entire country, not just one party, and not out of like 16. There's only two people at this point. I'm sorry, RFK fans. Sorry, Joe Rogan. Not going to happen. I think it's pretty important. I know it's not. They don't have to do it. It's not the law, but it's different.
I don't know. I don't see it as different. I mean, you have less people.
Primaries and general election is different things, right?
You have less people who are deciding the general election winner than you have deciding the primary winner.
Okay, is that true?
I mean, if you're talking about the swing voters who are going to make the decision for who wins the election, sure, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think the point that Connie's making, and it's a fair point, is that in today's politics, people feel like they don't have to do the debate if it's a risk to them. And they can just put out ads and stump speeches that have been planned and written by other people and just put that out and hope people believe it.